All right. Thank you so much, Kelsey. Now we're joined by our CBS 6 political analyst, Dr. Bob Holsworth. First of all, thanks so much for being with us tonight. You kind of hung out with us all day.
That's right.
So it was pretty close. 51% yes, a little over 48% no, with about 99% of the votes counted already. As far as the results and the turnout, is this what you expected?
Well, I think both the turnout and the results were a little unexpected. I think the ultimate result is not surprising that the yes won. I think the turnout was about 90% of what we saw in the governor's race in November, and that's not bad for an April referendum on that front. And what we saw is that the no vote in many Republican areas, particularly the rural areas of Virginia, was extraordinarily strong. But ultimately, what you saw was a very big yes vote in Northern Virginia, and then in particular here in the Richmond area, in Richmond, Henrico, and then even Chesterfield to some extent. You had mentioned, Julie, that this was a 87,000 vote margin. That's about the margin that the yes vote had in Richmond, Henrico, and Chesterfield combined.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah. All right. This isn't necessarily a done deal this week. A legal challenge is headed to the state Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Supreme Court's going to hear this right away. The Republicans have been arguing that this was not put on the ballot legally. They didn't like the wording on the ballot. They're going to have the Supreme Court do this. A lot of Democrats think that by and large the court is not going to go against the will of the people, but we'll have to see. We have to remember the courts drew these lines that were rejected tonight or that were changed this evening. And then secondly, another thing where some Democrats have told me, they remind me that the legislature appoints the members of the court. Certainly the court people, the justices on the court will say they only deal with the law, but we'll have to see whether there are any human considerations that come into this, particularly how do they feel about the fact that this gerrymandered map replaces a map of their own handiwork that they liked a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, is there any way of knowing when we will get a decision by the Supreme Court, or is it kind of we just have to wait and see what happens?
I think we have to wait, but I think it's going to be pretty expeditious and pretty quick. And the reason for that is that these parties have to start holding primaries for their elections in the fall. So the people who are running on a Republican ticket or running in a Democratic ticket, many of them have to actually run in primaries, and so this has to get done pretty quickly. So I expect a very expeditious decision out of the Virginia Supreme Court.
And what does what happened today tell you about what Virginia might do in the midterms? Because Democrats will say the midterms and the national political climate is why they wanted to push this forward today, that it was about bigger than what's going on in our state.
Yeah, one of the things that I've seen in Virginia over the last 8 or 9 years, every time that the Democrats can kind of put Donald Trump on the ballot, the Democrats do very well. Trump's popular in some states. Virginia's not one of them. And so by and large, even with the old maps, I think the Democrats were likely to pick up 1 and perhaps 2 seats in the congressional elections as well, because once again, just as they did tonight, they're going to make the midterms about Donald Trump's performance.
Yes, and that seems to be a running theme over and over again. Donald Trump and what can we do to stop him? And then obviously the Republicans wanting to push him forward. Mm-hmm. So, well, we appreciate you being with us here this evening and really all evening.
Yes.
And of course, you can find all of our election coverage and detailed breakdown of the results by going to WTVR.com and by downloading the CBS 6 app.